All right, now that I've got the subfloor and insulation installed, it's time to move on to the fans. I already got my rear fan in, and I'm going to take you step by step through installing that fan. I've followed a bunch of YouTube videos about how to do this, and I modified some of the instructions a little bit. Let's go. Let's start off with what we're going to need for this project today. We're going to start with cutting. Some people have suggested using jigsaws. I prefer using a grinder to start my hole rather than using drill holes and a jigsaw. So I'm going to use a grinder first to get my cut started, and then I'm going to use this Saber Sawzall to finish my cuts. It cuts through metal like butter. There's minimal sparks if you start with a grinder. There's no sparks if you use the Sawzall. Once I have my cut made, I'm going to clean off the edges with this metal file. Then I will spray paint any exposed metal so I have a nice surface before using this putty tape to go on the bottom of my fan. Stick it in, and then seal everything with lap sealant. So without further ado, let's open this box and find out what's in it. We love an unboxing video. I went with the Maxxair 4000 series, so this doesn't have a remote. It doesn't have a ton of bell and whistles, but it is Max Fan, which is the sort of fan of choice. So let's see what we've got in here. First thing you're going to see when you get your box open is this little set of instructions right on top about how to unpack everything. You're going to remove the plastic film. It's going to tell you how to get some foam pieces out. There are a few pieces that are a little like tricky, and you have to take a little care to make sure that you're not hurting the plastic fan on the inside. Comes with some screws. It's not enough screws. That's important. There are not enough screws here. Let me tell you something. I went ahead and ordered a universal fan installation kit that came with putty tape and extra screws. I'm not quite sure why Max Fan is not sending enough screws with them to actually install their product, but it does come with these little fuse connectors, which are handy. But what would be even more handy is if there were enough screws with the product. So back to the unboxing. Next, you're going to have a little installation manual, which will mostly tell you, in word form, what we're going to do in this video. Next, you're going to pull this little section out that was shrouding the fan. Got some more plastic safety here. There's a little piece of foam on top of the fan here. And then we can pull the whole unit out, as you can see. There it is, folks. There's also this cowl that will go onto the finished product, but we will not need it for quite a while. So we're going to pull off this plastic film. There's a little piece of foam here to get us set, and then you'll have to flip the unit over to find this unlocking mechanism, right? Pretty standard. You're just going to pull it to unlock it, turn it to open it, and then you can get that last little piece of foam that's on the inside. Now that the fan is out, we can put everything on the roof. Okay, so all the tools are up on my roof. Now I'm going to take my 14 by 14 template that I cut out from the box to just mark where I need to put the template on top. So I found the center of it. I've already marked on my roof here where I need that center to go. And then I'm just going to line my template up with my hole, and then I will drill one hole to give me a starter reference point, and then I can go on the roof to finish the rest of the project. Okay. Now I and the tools are up on the roof, so we are ready to go with this template. Okay, you can see I got my little teeny tiny hole that you can see that I drilled from below. And I'm going to line this template up, mark around the edges, and then I'm ready to start my cuts. Okay, so we're going to start the cut using the grinder just to get us a big enough gap to get the Sawzall in there. You're absolutely going to want to wear eye protection gear, and just be aware that there might be metal shards flying around, and sparks will fly. So you want to be very careful. Just be aware of your surroundings and make sure that no fires take off. And that's it. We just needed to get those starting cuts. So let's move on to the Sawzall. One thing you're gonna notice is that my tracing is not quite lined up with this little seam here. In the first fan, I found out that it fits in there snug. So even if the exact 14 inches are gonna take you up onto that rib, you can actually make your cut inside the rib and it will still fit snug. The cut is made, the next step is to file off any loose metal shavings on the sides. While the spray paint is drying, we're going to move on to the next step, which is putting gray putty tape on the bottom of our fan. So what we want to do is make sure that it's evenly covering the base of the fan. It also should cover anywhere that a screw is going to go through. So it's not only sealing the fan to the roof, it's also making sure that there is a seal around the screw that penetrates it. I got this universal kit on Amazon. I liked it for the first fan. It worked pretty well. And you can see it's got like paper on one side, putty on the other, and you can just place it in exactly the length that you want it to be. Smushes in there pretty nice. And then I'm just gonna cut off the excess that I won't need. And then I'm just going to surround the entire fan in that putty. All right, now that the paint is dry and our fan has putty all around it, we can place it down into the hole and then put the screws in. When you're putting the screws in, you should try to drill little pilot holes for each screw. Like I said, the box actually doesn't come with enough screws to fill in all of the holes that are already sort of pre-indented in the fan. So I'm using universal screws that came with the putty to fill in the rest of the holes. It works pretty well. I have to switch bits, which is a little annoying, but it works pretty well on the first fan. So let's check it out. All right, the screws are in. Now for the funnest and most messy, potentially, part of this. I'm using the lap sealant to cover each screw head around the seams and then also underneath any seams that might be exposed a little bit, and the screw bottoms as well. Okay, getting started. Look at this. You can find this at Walmart, any of your hardware stores. Little hack, it's got this little hole here that will open things. And the top is off and we're ready to go. Also, really annoying little thing, right? We've got that little tin that's always hard to puncture. Pretty much all of these have this little key, which will help you puncture that, and you are ready to go. And that is it. We've got the subfloor in and the ceiling fans in. As always, everything that I use will be in links down below. If you like what you're watching, please like and subscribe, and have a wonderful day.